And welcome to the B-side, where we talk about Bond shit that's not necessarily the movies. And today, you're going to meet a new bum, Wade. Wade, would you like to tell us just a little bit about yourself?
Well, obviously my name is Wade. I live here in the Northeast Missouri. I live at a grain facility, I work at a grain facility. I'm married. I have a little daughter. So I'm just living the American dream.
There you go. Well, what would you say is generally your taste in movies?
To be honest, I kind of take pride in the fact that I like to watch all kinds of different stuff. I probably lean more into, I love comedy movies. I love laughing. And like every guy, I love me a nice action movie. I'm a big superhero nerd, so when Marvel and DC shut off, that was really down my alley. But I'm also big into like spy thrillers and stuff that you really got to pay attention to and kind of think through. I've leaned big into like sci-fi movies in certain times of my life. I love the Dune movies right now. That's one of my favorite franchises right now. So yeah, I kind of like, I've even seen The Notebook like 5 times. Like, I swear to God, I really have. They do a great job. So yeah, I like all kinds of different stuff.
Well, fair enough there. So, what would you say is your all-time favorite movie?
Ooh, that is a tough one. Well, the ones that immediately pop in my head, I'll probably name off a couple. Thor Ragnarok is my favorite superhero movie. I've always loved the Pirates of the Caribbean movies. They've always been, I don't know why, I just absolutely love them. I've always loved those movies, especially the first 3. Like I said, Thor Ragnarok. And then there's a couple comedy movies that I really love. I'm a big Will Ferrell guy. I love Talladega Nights, Semi-Pro. I love to laugh. He makes me laugh.
No Blades of Glory?
I do love Blades of Glory. That's a very funny and inappropriate movie. But the other 2 are Semi-Pro is probably my favorite one. Then closely by Talladega Nights is the close second there. Those are probably my favorite in those different categories.
Well, while we're on this similar topic, what would you say is your favorite TV show?
Ooh. Family Guy's always been one of my fallbacks, and I've loved Family Guy for probably the longest of all my big shows that I've watched. One recently that I absolutely just fell in love with was The Last of Us on HBO. That is one of the greatest shows I've ever seen. And I loved it, absolutely loved it. I know it's newer, but I've already rewatched it like 2 or 3 times, and it just came out last year, I think. So yeah, Family Guy, really love The Last of Us. I think those are probably my top 2 shows. Usually.
Well, we're still on the same topic here. Who would you say is your all-time favorite actor?
I can give you 2 names. Johnny Depp, Tom Hardy. Then with probably a close Chris Hemsworth right behind, but that's mainly just because of Thor. But I watch everything that Johnny Depp's probably ever come out with, and I love Tom Hardy. Another one of my favorite sports movies is Warrior, which is a UFC movie. Which Tom Hardy is one of the main characters in that, and that was one of the first movies I ever watched of Tom Hardy, and I just loved him ever since then. Everything Tom Hardy comes out with, I think, is great. Him and the Johnny Depp is just perfectly weird, and I've already said I love Pirates of the Caribbean. Just all of his, let's be honest, he's a weird guy. He makes weird movies, but I love it. I dig what he does, and Tom Hardy is like the perfect grizzled badass, and him as Bane and Batman I really liked. Warrior, just all kinds of different stuff he's been in. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones.
Well, let's change it just slightly. And what about actress?
Well, when I was a little kid, my very first crush ever was Catherine Zeta-Jones. I loved Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Entrapment.
Yep, you got it. That was my movie. That was I was pretty young. I used to get babysat by my grandpa, and he had this movie on VHS, which was Entrapment, which is Sean Connery and Catherine Zeta-Jones. And I watched it over and over and over, mainly just because I liked the way Catherine Zeta-Jones looked. But she was like my first big crush, and I think I gotta go with her. I gotta go with Catherine Zeta-Jones. Awesome.
Well, we're going to change it up just a little bit now and get away from the entertainment genre and get back to Wade. What about, like, education? I know you kind of mentioned your career already, so, like, what about education?
Well, I just have a high school diploma. I almost went to college, but I decided to just jump into the work field and just go straight into that, so I didn't really pursue much else after that. But I'm happy with that decision. I like doing physical labor, and yeah, that was cool after high school.
Cool. So outside of, you know, movies and TV shows and such, what other hobbies do you have?
The older I've gotten, the more I've gotten into. I'm an avid weightlifter. I still play basketball every Sunday. So obviously in a lot of physical activities. Like I said, the older I've gotten, the more I've gotten into a lot of these, especially weightlifting. I've gotten into more of like a powerlifting thing the past like year, kind of building myself up until I can start competing in that. Like I said, still play basketball. I've been in bowling leagues. Besides just physical activities, I'm a big comic book collector. That's another one of my big things. Started off with a very small collection, but over the past few years I've expanded it quite a bit. I've actually got a pretty decent sized collection now. I have a ginormous shelf that takes up a good portion of my room that I plan on filling at some point, probably years down the road, but I put a good dent in it. Very, very big Thor and X-Men guy. Those are my two go-tos, even though I've been trying to expand my horizons. I have many other ones now, but lots of comic books, and for the most part, it's probably it. I'm a big movie guy too, obviously. But yeah, those are kind of my passions.
Sweet. All right, we got our last question here. It may be the most important.
Okay.
What would you say is your drink of choice?
My drink of choice? Oh, I probably have to go something simple.
Like Congress vodka?
Oh God, no. That made me throw up. I drank it too much when I was younger. Fucking rubbing alcohol. God, the thought of it makes me cringe now. Yeah, a lot of bad decisions were made on that. Honestly, I don't really go out. I'm a pretty simple guy. I've usually nowadays, over the past handful of years, I drink me a Busch Latte or a Coors Light. I don't really drink a lot of liquor anymore for multiple reasons. I keep it simple. So probably a Busch Heavy or a Busch Latte, as some people like to call them, or a Coors Light. It's usually my go-to if I decide to drink these days.
Well, that's all the questions I have for you, Wade. Is there anything else you think the listeners need to know about Wade as they watch you talk about James Bond with us?
No, but I think we covered most of it. You know, I'm a avid Indianapolis Colts fan like Ray, but there we go, the old horseshoe, baby. But
well,
yeah.
Well, I think you left out one of the most important things about you.
Oh boy, what?
You're my brother.
Oh, well, yeah. I figured that probably already been discussed, but yes, I am Alex's brother. This is true. This is very true. Well, I'm probably close to being related or related to half the people that have been on this podcast, but yeah. A couple of them anyway.
That's fair.
A couple.
All right. Well, thank you, Wade. And thanks for tuning in to get to know Wade. And welcome. And thanks for tuning in to the B-side.
There you go.